Hello, this is Justin again from the Tech Train, and welcome to the 12th installment in this video series looking at how to begin programming with Small Basic. In today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at drawing shapes. Now, we looked at drawing using simple lines using the turtle back in video 5. If you forget that, I want to go back and refresh your minds. It was tutorial 5 in which we looked at the turtle. But we're going to be doing something different today, and that is drawing rectangles, circles and triangles and filling those in. And we're going to be doing that in order to create some flags. So we're going to be drawing flags of the world using rectangles, triangles and circles. So this is what we're going to be looking at, and I'm going to begin with France as my example here, which you'll see is a vertical blue, vertical white and vertical red bar. So we're going to learn how to draw this in Small Basic using rectangles. So the first thing that we need to do, by the way, ignore all this at the top. That is just simply so that my graphics window appears nicely in the middle of this monitor so that you can see it in the video. Otherwise, if it appears on my other monitor, it's not really that helpful for you. So begin with a graphics window command. That's the object that we're talking about and the method that we're looking at using. Now, when you have a look at the drawing, you'll see that you have a draw rectangle. Whoops, if I can get on there. A draw rectangle, a draw triangle, and somewhere in there a draw ellipse. Now, those aren't actually going to be filled with color. Those are simply the outlines, and we don't want the outlines to begin with. We want them to be filled. So the ones that we'll be looking at is fill ellipse, fill rectangle, and fill triangle. For the French flag, of course, we'll need a fill rectangle. So that's what we're going to be using. And here we're going to have to put some values into the brackets here. Now, very helpfully, Small Basic does show you on the right hand side of your screen here some helpful information. So what it's expecting when you use graphics window.fill rectangle are 4 values, and you can see them in the order in which it's expecting you to use them. So we have X, so the X coordinate of the rectangle, Y, width, and then height. Now, the problem is this gets very, very difficult unless you have a phenomenally good visual awareness and ability to imagine in your mind exactly where you are on a grid. It gets very complicated. So what I recommend you do is to create something like this. I'll just get rid of that for the moment. This is just simply a grid. You can do this on lined paper, on grid paper, graph paper, whatever. I've just put this together in PowerPoint as a simple table, which I've stretched out and put the numbers left and right. This helps you to plan out exactly what you're going to do. So what I'm going to do here is to color these cells here blue, leave these white, and then have these red. And so you'll see that will allow me to create the French flag, as you'll see here. This website, by the way, is flagpedia.net. So that's going to be really useful. You might also want to be checking your colors in Small Basic. This is Microsoft's website here. It's quite a long website address. The easiest way to find it is to go to Google and type in Small Basic colors. And that'll give you all the colors that you need. But I'm just going to stick with red and blue for this example. So now that I've got my blue area and my red area, I'm going to begin with the blue, so drawing out the blue area. So first of all, what I need to do is think about the X and Y coordinates of the top left corner. So whenever you're drawing a rectangle, you always think about the coordinates of the top left corner. So in this case, I can see the top left corner is in this spot just here. And the coordinates of that, the X coordinate going across is 100. And the Y coordinate, which you see, the 0, 0 is a top left corner. So X does increase as you go along to the right, as you normally would with an x-axis, but the y starts with 0 at the top and the number goes up as you go further down. So just be aware of that. But the x coordinate is 100, the y coordinate is 100, so that is my xy coordinate for the top left corner. So here I'm going to put in 100 for the x and 100 for the y. Now the next two values we need, as you can see here, are width and height. So let's look at the width first of all. Now these are marked in 100s. I tend to use 100 as my main block. Obviously you can go in 50s or even 10s if you want, but it gets a bit fiddly. So my recommendation is, to begin with at least, start with these squares being 100 steps in each direction. So the width of this is 2 squares, so that's 200. So my width is 200, but you can see it goes down 3 squares, so down 300. So the width is 200, the height is 300. So I'm going to put in 200 for the width, 300 for the height, and those are my first 4 numbers. Now, of course, the other thing I have to bear in mind is the colour that I want to use. So if we have a look at the small basic colours, you can see all the different colours here. I'm just simply going for blue, the ordinary blue here. So in order to change the colour for the fill, what I will need to do before I draw the rectangle is a graphics window dot brush color. So the brush is the thing we fill something with. Imagine painting a wall. You would not use a pen to paint the wall, you would use a brush to paint the wall. So the brush color is the thing we want, and that's going to be blue. There we go. So remember, because this is a property of, so a way of describing this object, we use the equals and speech marks, whereas if we're talking about making an action happen, so fill a rectangle as an action, then we put the information in brackets after it. So blue here is a property of the brush color method. These numbers here are the values for the fill rectangle method. So now I've done that, if I run the program, there we are, you'll see I have this vertical blue rectangle that's 200 across, 300 down, and this top left corner is where the 100 is. So the next thing I need to do is think about the red part. So the red part of the flag is another vertical rectangle, but it's as far apart from the blue one as the same width as the blue one. So that white strip in the middle needs to be included. So here where I've got my drawing on my grid, I need to look at the top left corner of the red rectangle, and you can see that that is 500, 100. So that's my coordinates. So I'm going to do a graphics window dot fill rectangle, and my X is 500 and my Y was 100. So that's the X and the Y of this top left corner. Now I want the width and the height. The width of this is 200, 2 across, and the height is 300, 3 down. So 200 by 300. So let's put those numbers in, 200 by 300. And of course, we'll need to just set the color to red for this one. So I'll just put the brush color to red before I have that rectangle. And then when we draw that, you'll see that we have our French flag, although it's looking a bit odd because of course we've not got an outline. So let's draw an outline, shall we, next? Now for the outline, we need, instead of a fill rectangle, we need to draw a rectangle. Remember that drawing is the line around the outside. Fill is obviously filling whatever that shape is. So here we're drawing a rectangle. Now the same idea applies. So you'll see that for drawing a rectangle, it's the same 4 bits of information. The X and Y coordinates of the top left corner, followed by the width and the height. So let's have a look again at our grid. So this is going to be over the entire flag. Now this whole area, we're drawing this rectangle. So the top left corner is this point here, which is 100 by 100. So let's put in those coordinates there, 100 by 100. And now we want the full width of the whole flag. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600. So it's 600 across by 1, 2, 300 down. So 600 by 300. Let's put that in there. 600 by 300. And what we'll just make sure is that the color of this pen is right. Now, as I said, when you're filling, you'll use a brush, but when you're drawing something in more detail, you're using a pen. So the pen is narrow enough for the, whoops, I didn't pen width there. The pen is the thing that we want for drawing around the outside of something, the thin line around the outside. And I'm going to make sure that that is black. You can change the width as well if we want to. So pen width. You'll see there, let's just set that to 3, I think will do. And let's run that program. And there we are. So there's our French flag. So what you can have a go at doing now is to independently have a go at drawing the French flag using the fill rectangle and the draw rectangle, remembering your coordinates and making sure that you use something like this. And to draw it out on paper, I'll probably put a link to this PowerPoint resource in the description below this video. So if you want to download this example that I'm using, please feel free. But you can easily make one yourself, obviously on a bit of paper, but use something like that to plan what you're doing first. Then have a little look at flagpedia.net. Now, some of them are obviously more complicated. The Canadian maple leaf there is going to be very, very difficult. The United Kingdom flag is also going to be very, very difficult. So look at some of these United States. I know a lot of my viewers, a lot of my subscribers are from the US, so hello to all of you. Again, a lot of rectangles, that's fine. The stars are going to cause you some problems. There is a way of doing them, and I'll show you something in a minute that will help you, but that will be phenomenally difficult to do. Germany, obviously that's going to be fairly straightforward. Rectangles again. Italy, same thing. So you can have a little look through this website here and have a look at all of the different flags. So you can have a look at all the flags there and choose one that you like, or indeed make your own one up, and feel free to make it as luridly colourful as you wish if you want to. But have a go at doing that and pause this video in just a second. And what I'll do when we come back in a second is have a look at how to do triangles. So that's a rectangle, but what about a triangle, which some flags of the world do need you to use? So some of the flags we'll see quickly, and obviously the United Kingdom one does. South Sudan there has a triangle on the left-hand side, which we could try and do. This one as well has a triangle on the left. There are quite a few with triangles. So let's look at how we can do a triangle in just a moment. But practice the rectangle first, pause the video, and I'll see you in just about 5 seconds time. And I hope that you were successful at that. If you weren't, you didn't pause the video, then I really do recommend that you do try these things for yourself, because it's really only when you're doing them independently that you learn what mistakes you tend to make, what issues you've got, and where you can focus perhaps and improve. However, assuming that you've done that correctly, let's have a look now at how we would do a triangle. So what I'm going to do is write out the code first of all, graphics window dot fill, and we're going to fill a triangle. How are we? There. And open the brackets. And here on the right hand side you can see there's a lot more information here that we need. So here we need x1, y1, x2, y2, x3, y3. These are the coordinates of the 3 points of your triangle. So let's see how that would work here. So here I've got a grid, and what I'm going to do is insert a little circle, and this is going to be my little sort of placeholder or marker. So I'll just make that red so we can see that clearly. And let's draw out where the triangle needs to be. So let's say that the triangle, or if I tell you what I'll do, I'll draw a triangle and then put the points in. Let's try that. So let's have a triangle that's maybe there and perhaps goes out to there. Let's just edit the points and maybe have this one like that. There we are. So let's try Make sure these points are on a coordinate point. That'll make it a bit easier for you later on. So there we are. That's the triangle we're going to try to draw. So what we have to do is look at the three coordinates, the 3 points of this triangle, and get those coordinates into our code. It makes no difference which one you consider to be the first coordinate. So it doesn't matter whether that's the first one or that's the first one. I'm going to start at the top and go clockwise just so that I don't lose where I am. So let's start off with the coordinates for this top point here. Now we can see the coordinates are x first, of course, 300 by 100. So 300, 100 are the coordinates for the first point. So let's put that in, 300 by 100. Now we look at the second point on our triangle. That's this one here. So again, the coordinates of this one we see are 600 by 400. So we put 600, 400 as the coordinates for the second point on our triangle. And then finally, we come on to the third point. So this one here, we can see this one, x is 100, y is 500. So it's 100 by 500. So 100 by 500. And there we are. Those are the 6 numbers that we need. So if we run this now, there we are. You can see that triangle exactly matches. Let's just put that next to it. There we are. You can see that exactly matches the shape and orientation of the triangle that I was trying to draw here. So you see how for something like a triangle, it is really important to have some sort of grid paper or graph paper to work with. It would be very, very difficult indeed to visually imagine where you were for each one of these points. So I strongly recommend even using some sort of graph like this to draw your triangle out. So what you can do is have a little go, again, download the PowerPoint presentation here from the description if you want to. Draw a triangle out, try and do the coordinates for it. And of course, if you want to, have a look at some of these flags that do include triangles. So South Sudan, there's the first one. Sao Tome Principe there with another triangle on the left-hand side. And there are many, many more. So I think we can go somewhere here. Let's do by alphabet and have a look at all of them. There we are. So you can see Antigua and Barbuda there, another one. The Bahamas there. Now the Bahamas would be a good one. That's a very, very clear triangle on the left-hand side with these 3 rectangles. Again, using your small basic colors, you could find those colors quite easily. So, excuse me. So there we are. That would be perhaps my recommendation challenge, is see if you can draw the flag of the Bahamas in small basic, combining your rectangles with a black triangle. So have a go at that and pause the video in just a second. And what I'll do when we come back in a few seconds time is finally have a look at ovals or ellipses or circles and how we draw circles or ellipses. So pause the video and I'll be right here in about 5 seconds time.
A few moments later.
So I hope you had a go at doing that. If you did try doing the flag of the Bahamas and you were successful, please leave a comment below. Let me know how you got on. If you weren't quite sure, then here's one possible way in which it could be done. So there's an example of the Bahama flag being done in small basic, and you can see the code here. And I'm going to go through the code. If you're particularly interested in wanting to compare mine to yours or to see how it was done, then feel free to pause the video and then copy the code. But let's move on now and have a think about how we can do ovals. So how can we do circles? I'm going to go right back to here. I'll keep the deep sky blue as the color. But how am I going to draw a circle? Well, if I do graphics window dot and then we'll fill, it's called an ellipse here, and we open brackets, we can see on the right hand side that there are 4 parameters, 4 values that we need to enter here. The x and y coordinates of the ellipse, doesn't tell you what part of it, and then the width and the height. So if we go back to our grid here, let's just bring up a new grid and we'll draw a circle. Well, I'll actually draw an ellipse. So I'll draw one out like this. So let's just say it's going to be about like this. So what we need to do, let me just change the fill so it is slightly transparent, just so that you can see through a little bit here. So I want you to be able to see the grid behind it, because what I'm going to do is center it over the midpoint of the grid. So this point where all the axes lines meet. So I'm going to do something like that. So what you can see here is that the center point of the circle is over this particular axis, the 300 axis on the X and the 200 on the Y, and that is the X and Y coordinate that you need. So the two coordinates you need for a circle, for an ellipse, is the center of the circle or the ellipse. So in this case, you can see that the center is over the 300 on the X, 200 on the Y. So let's bring up this and do 300 on the X, 200 on the Y. And the second two values we need are the width and the height. So the same as with our rectangles, we have to look at the width in these blocks. So again, we're using this grid, it does make a difference. So this circle is 1, 2, 3, 4 across. Now, of course, if it was a circle, then the height and the width would need to be the same. But as it's not a circle, it's an ellipse, the width is 400 across, but the height is just 200. So if I put in 400 and then 200 as the width and the height, and we run this program, you can see there we are. That's the same shape, same size. Let me just bring these two together so you can see them. Same shape and size as the ellipse. Well, the size is slightly different because I've zoomed out in PowerPoint, but the shape is the same. If I was to change this number here to 400, so now what I'm getting is 400 on the X and 400 on the Y. And I'm just going to bring this up a little bit, 200, 100, so it's slightly higher. Then you can see that what I'm getting is a perfect circle, because the the width and the height are exactly the same. So that's all you need to do as far as an ellipse is concerned. Of course, if you wanted to have an outline around that, then rather than fill ellipse, you'd have draw ellipse. But the coordinates would be exactly the same. I can just bring up the graphics window .pen color. Remember that pen color is the color of the outline around the outside. And while we're at it, we'll also change the pen width as well. Put that to about 3. Let's change that to about 5 for this one. So that you can see now we've got a blue circle with a black outline around it. And if you have a look at some of these flags, again, you'll see that there are a number of flags that do have circles in them. So there we are, Bangladesh straight away. So you could have a go at doing the Bangladeshi flag. There are plenty of others down here somewhere, but I'm not going to find them straight away. Ethiopia. Well, yes, the bit in the middle might be a bit tricky. You could do that with perhaps a triangle pointing up there, perhaps. A little tricky, but you might be able to just break that down a little bit. Let's see if we can see another one quickly. Oh, there's Japan, of course. So they have a white flag, probably put a black line around the outside of it, and then that red circle in the middle. And then Laos, we have the white circle in the middle with a thick blue bar in the middle, and then these thinner strips of red. That's quite a good one to have a go at doing, perhaps. So again, this website, flagpedia.net. And I've gone to /index to have a look at the full list there. Has quite a few good examples, so perhaps you might want to have a go at doing one of those. It's a good exercise to try when you're learning how to do these shapes. So the circle or ellipse, the triangle and the rectangle, those are the main shapes that you can draw. Of course, you can combine this with the turtle, so you can still do a circle using the turtle. You've also got the draw line, and this draw line again you see has these 4 coordinates, so the X and Y coordinates of one end of the line and the XY coordinates of the other. So if you were to have the pen width set fairly thick, then you could start to draw some of these more detailed ones that you've got, like I showed you just now. You could even have a go at something like the Canadian flag, which would perhaps be a combination of triangles that are overlapping each other. That'll be absolutely fantastic. And if anybody can do the flag of Canada, because I know I do have quite a few subscribers and viewers who are in Canada, and if you are Canadian or from Canada, please do put a message below. And if anybody manages to create a flag of Canada, please do let me know. You can head over to the About page on this channel and you can pull up the email address. So what I'd be thrilled to is if you could email me any fantastic flags that you have done, and I will be more than happy to showcase them in another tutorial, another video, and give you a shout out if you have a channel or social media channel or school web page or whatever you'd like. So if you email me your flags that you can do in Small Basic, or indeed any other fantastic drawings or images that you do in Small Basic using the turtle or using these shapes, please do share them, and I will give you a shout out and showcase what you're doing, because that will be awesome. So good luck with that. So that is the end of this tutorial. The next video tutorial that we're going to be looking at, number 13, will be about string manipulation. So that's taking strings of text and doing things with them, reversing the order of the text, looking for text inside text. And one of the things that we'll be building is our very own chat bot. So creating a very simple but nonetheless effective chat bot which is able to have a conversation with us. So I will see you when you're ready for the next tutorial.